Hi, welcome all. We are very happy that Binduji has kindly consented to start Chandogya Upanishad. It was supposed to be started on 18th, but due to some, I think Binduji was not comfortable. So today we are beginning with Chandogya Upanishad. As in the series of entire Upanishads, Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka are two wonderful Upanishads, but little big compared to the all other Upanishads. But you have so much of wisdom in this Upanishad you can carry. It's going to be a brilliant sessions by Bindoji. Actually, I requested Bindoji to start this Upanishad from the first topic itself, but Shrini suggested that no, at least Bindoji can start from the sixth because even the rest of the Upanishad is so huge and it takes very long time. But okay, today Binduji has consented to start the Chandogya from the sixth chapter of this Upanishad because the first five will be in general dealt with the Upasanas. So, what is more the creamy that part is Bindu is going to start. I'm very happy because many people were waiting for your session. Uh, yes, Binduji, please start the session. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Jadavedji. ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ॐ अस्मत्श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. Welcome all. We are going to start one more Upanishad after having completed the Kathopanishad, the Kenopanishad, the Mundaka, and the Mandukya. So this is the fifth in the series, but not as per the order in which the traditional teaching is done, where it is much more in from the Isha Kayana Katha Prashna, like that they start. The reason why I am following a different order is because first, this is not a traditional school where the background of all students are at par and they can understand everything. We have a widespread audience or listeners who are of Indian background and non-Indian background. So keeping both in mind, I am introducing the subjects in the Upanishads in a fashion that not only develop the interest in the listeners, but also the thought process is taken by hand holding into the details of it stage by stage. So the Kathopanishad was the introduction where in the form of a story or a dialogue we had that Nachiketas and Yama, the student and the teacher, and there we dealt with the introduction of the subject, what is the Atma. Then we went into Kenopanishad, where there was no teacher-student type of a story type. It was direct a dialogue between a teacher and the disciple into the subject without any, the paraphernalia of a story built around that dialogues. So the direct question was, Keneshitam padati prekshitam, what makes this mind work from that onwards? There, the subject was more serious and direct answers to the questions which a seeker of truth should be asking. Having dealt with these two Upanishads, I embarked upon the Mundaka Upanishad because there is a particular statement in the Upanishad which is very interesting for all of us. Yatnyatva sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Teach me that one knowledge, knowing which everything will be known, that the totality will be known. That was the subject or the topic which was there in the Mundaka Upanishad. And it dealt with both the para and apara vidya. That is, para vidya is about the Atma, and apara vidya was about the other than Atma, whatever is recorded in the Vedas and the Vedangas. And then we knew that Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan, those who having tried all means of karma activities in the Vedic period, they came to a conclusion and developed a detachment, Nirveda Maya. What? Nasti akrita kritena. The akritaha, or the cause which is not an effect, can never be achieved by reverse engineering. By going from the karya to the karana, we cannot reverse engineer in the case of this thing. Therefore, nasti akrita kritena cannot be done by the karmas, that you cannot reverse engineer the creation to know the source of creation. So that was the theme in the Mundaka Upanishad. So having understood the fundamentals of Atma, then the detailed intrinsic way in which Kenopanishad dealt with, and the way in which Mundaka dealt as what are the two different knowledges, out of which the Paravidya, when it is known, everything is known. Ena aksharam adhigamyate, with which the aksharam means with the immortal is attained. Or even when if you look at the word aksharam as alphabets, beyond the words, where you reach to the stage where words cannot express, but its existence is immediate and intrinsic and direct. So we all got a basic idea as to what we are or where we are heading to. That is the time when I decided to take the Mandukya with the Karikas, to directly take all of us to that realm of awareness or chit, that aspect of Atma, out of the Satchitananda. Sat, Chit, and Ananda are the three things, what you call the indicative words for Atma. Even though the word Atma is known to everyone, but nobody can comprehend it because it is beyond words. Yat manasana manute yenahur manomatam. So that which is beyond the concepts is what is the Atma, which is the Vedanta talks about. Sat, Chit, and Ananda are the indicative words towards that. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is the bliss or unadulated or uncontaminated happiness when nothing else is disturbing you. So the conscious aspect is easy for us to understand because we all have the faculty of understanding. So I thought the Mandukya Upanishad and the Karika, when we take, I can take you to the first aspect of the indicatory word, the Chit or the Chaitanya or the Chit Shakti or the consciousness which is present in everything. Ayamatma Brahma, Sarvam Atma Eva. So that is how the Mandukya. Om Ityedad Aksharamidam Sarvam Tasyobhavyakyanam Bhutam Bhavishyati Sarvam Omkara Eva. Yachanyat tadapya omkara eva. Ayamatma Brahma. So this is the way in which the Mandukya and the Karika started. So where we studied in detail the consciousness, how it is available, yet at the same time cannot be apprehended, but the presence is felt not only as an individual but as a part of the world where Sarvam in the world, everything in the world is also in the realm of consciousness or the substratum of the consciousness with which everything appears in the awareness and the consciousness is the theme in which Mandukya and Akarika dealt with. Then we have now left with two subjects or two topics of indicative words is one is the Sat and the other is Ananda. The advantage of taking Chandogya was that even though it is a very big Upanishad, the beauty of Chandogya is that it deals both the aspects of animate and inanimate, or the sense that Saguna and Nirguna, with qualities and without qualities of this aspect of Sat. This is how the Chandogya Upanishad is dealing with it. And the Ananda Upanishad, the Ananda part is dealt even in the Chandogya, even there in the, it is there in the Mrigataranya, it is there more in the Taittiriya. So Ananda aspect will be get completed not in by one Upanishad. When we need to study all the 10 Upanishads, you will get the pure full aspect of Ananda. Because even though predominantly Taittiriya has got a Brahmana called Ananda Brahmana, but that will still not lead us to know what is that Ananda which we are talking about in the Upanishad. So let us understand how does the Vedanta Darshana or the Upanishadic teachings, how does it become a cogent teaching? It means it has got topics which are arranged in a systematic manner, which I was now discussing till now. But if you look at the traditional way in which they approach this teaching is, they talk about the individual, that the Jiva Swarupa, which is the who am I aspect. This aspect is dealt by the Upanishad. None of the other teachings, whichever text you take from any part of the whether it is the science, philosophy, or place, you will find that the detailed analysis or the detailed study of who am I and the answer to who am I is dealt only in Upanishad to such an extent that it has not left any stone unturned. So the Jiva Swarupa is one of the 6 aspects of the Upanishadic teaching. The second is not only the Jiva is part of the Jagat or the world. The individual is part of the world. So when the individual is dealt with, it cannot be dealt in isolation because it is a part of a world also, because the world includes the individuals. So the Jagat Swarupam, what is the cosmology or what is the nature in which, what is this world? Just as we ask, who am I? What is this world is the second aspect which the Upanishad deal with. It is not only dealing with what is the Atma aspect, but it also gives an explanation as to what is the Jagat Swarupa or what is the nature of the world. So we will see that when we are explaining Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma, when that word is being taken, we will know this aspect, why it is there, and that is detailed in the 6th chapter. So our concentration for the Ishavasya will be the 6th chapter, followed by then we'll take the 7th chapter, and then later I'll take the 8th chapter, with which the philosophical aspects of the Chandogyopanishad will give the completion. The third aspect in the 6th is the Ishvara Swarupam. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. These are the three pillars, The Ishvara Swarupam, or the what is God, or who is God, what is the nature of God, is there something called God, whether the God exists or not, all these things are dealt in the Upanishad. To know the real name or the real meaning of the word God, only if you study Upanishad you will get to know the meaning of God. There is definition of the God in all religions, all books which they believe in, but they do not define what is what is God, or what is its nature. How is he related with me or with the world? Is he a controller? Is he outside? Is he a merciless person? He is a merciful person. If he is a merciful person, how can he create disparities in the world? All these questions becomes not clear in any of those books. If you look at it, there is the word God and the description of God, or the rules and regulations laid down based on what is called as a God in all the textbooks. But the nature of God and what it is and how does it matter to me is never dealt in any one of those books. Whereas Upanishad tells what is Ishvara Swarupam, or what is that you can call or designate as Ishvara. This is the fourth aspect, the third aspect, Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. Now, we have three more things, which is that one is the tie-up between the individual and the world and the Ishvara. There is a bondage. Is the bondage real? Is the bondage permanent? Is there a way that why am I feeling the pain and pleasure of life? What is the struggle in life? This is all called the Bandha Swarupam, or the nature of bondage. The nature of bondage, only when we know the nature of bondage, we can be free from bondage. Because everybody by nature likes freedom. There is no living being which will not like freedom. Whether it is a bird or an animal or a human being, even plants, they want freedom. If their sunlight is obstructed or their growth is obstructed, they will find out a way to grow. So the freedom to grow, or freedom to experience the world, is inborn in every living being, but there are restrictions to it. These restrictions are called the bondage or the struggle which we face. And within that, the religion has brought, ethics and morality, etc. All those things. Those things are all coming under the bondage. You may call it as ethics, morality, and all. But even morality and ethics, as per the Upanishadic approach, is part of the limitations of the individual in relationship with the world. Are we really limited one individual, or is there a way I can be free from that? The state of freedom, which is explained in the fifth point in the Upanishad, is what is called the Moksha Swarupam, the nature of freedom. I don't think in any book you can find the perfect definition of freedom. That freedom which removes all type of bondages, not even an addiction to the pleasures and pleasures of the heaven, or any other means in which you can be, get caught into. The total, absolute, unadulterated freedom is only spoken in the Upanishad. That is why the Moksha Swarupam of the Upanishad is totally different from what the Puranas and the other religious texts are mentioning about. There you will find that what they call it as Moksha Swarupam is a state, and all states have a beginning, and whatever has a beginning has an end. So there is no way a unlimited, eternal freedom or Moksha Swarupam is guaranteed by any religion or any book other than the Upanishad. And the sixth pillar of the Upanishad in that condition is that it not only talks about that the state of freedom or the nature of the freedom. The sixth and the most important is what it talks about is the means to achieve that. The methodology with which we are guaranteed that the freedom which we are looking for is eternal, unlimited, infinite in nature, and how to achieve that is also given as the methodology by the Upanishad, which is called the sadhana or the means, what you call it as. Now, sadhana is the means, therefore, sadhyam means what is the achieved means, and the achievement are to be understood in the proper way. The three pillars of Advaita are Brahma Sutra, Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. Now, out of that, the Brahma Sutra is the most logical, with a lot of logic, and taking on every opposition one humanity can throw at it is being answered in the Brahma Sutra. And in the Brahma Sutra, it has got maximum references or quotations which are used in the Brahma Sutra, and the Bhashya when Shankara wrote about it is from Chandogyopanishad. No other Upanishad has been so much quoted in the answering Upanishad, in the questions and the opponents in the Brahma Sutra dialogues other than Chandogya. Even though the other Upanishads are all coming there, but the most referred and most leaned upon by Shankara for answering the Brahma Sutra explanation is Chandogyopanishad. So you can imagine the importance of the Chandogyopanishad. Of the 10 Upanishads, the most important Upanishads are Isha Kena, Kata, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Taittiriya, Aitiriya, Chandogya, and Brihadaranya. These are the way in which it is taught in the traditional schools. It is called the Dasha Upanishad. Dasha means 10. The 10 Upanishads all put together is codified as sutras in the Brahma Sutra, which contains 555 sutras. And in the 555 sutras, the most often quoted is the Chandogya, which I said. The Ishavasya is the first one where the word Ishavasya, that the word which Jadavedji has been taking it, is the one which is the first one Upanishad which is being taught. Then comes Kena, Kada, Prashna in the traditional school, but we have taken a different school or with different route altogether. So what happened that Isha belongs to the Shukla Yajurveda. Kena and Chandogya both belong to Samaveda. The Katha Upanishad belongs to Krishna Yajurveda, and you have the Taittiriya also in the Krishna Yajurveda. The Mundaka belongs to the Atharvana Veda. Mandukya also is in the Atharvana Veda. And you will find the Aitareya Upanishad, the only one which is from the Rig Veda directly. Now, if you look at it that from the Upanishad's point of view, both Chandogya and Kena Upanishads are coming from the same Samaveda category in the school of this thing. So, The name Chandogya comes from the word Chandas. Chandogyam means in the metrical. Chandas means meter. So in the metrical form or prasodi is the way in which the Samavedas are taught and educated in the school. So Chandogya is taken because that is the largest Upanishad in that. Technically speaking, Kena Upanishads also can be called Chandogya because that also belongs to the same the Samaveda Chandas group. But Kena Upanishad need to be treated separately because it is a standalone Upanishad, and therefore since the first word starts with Kene Shitam Patati Prekshitam Mana, it was given the Kena as the name for it. So now you know that out of the 10 Upanishads, we have Chandogya and Kena, which is belonging to the Samaveda. The Chandogya Upanishad is the one Upanishad, the only Upanishad I would say, which deals so much into Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman. Both aspects of qualified Brahman and unqualified Brahman. The reason why this is so much important is that last three aspects which are dealing with Nirguna Brahman or the unqualified Brahman part can be apprehended only a student is qualified and have trained himself or herself with upasanas which is been dealt in detail in the first 5 chapters of Chandogya Upanishad. Why the first 5 chapters are dealing with Saguna Upasana is that even here also in the Chandogya, the first word is that Om Iti Sama Iti Udgita is the word. Like that Mandukya also, Om Ityeva Sharam. Here also, the Chandogya, the first mantra is start with Om, explaining Om. So what happens in that methodology of the first 5 chapters is that when people are educated in the meditation of Saguna Rupa or the qualified with attributes. Saguna means with attributes. When Brahman is understood with the attributes, what happens is that the mind becomes focused in the aspects of the Brahman. Why the aspects of Brahman is important in the meditative method? Because these aspects are warding off or removing the misunderstanding the students otherwise can get carried away by meditating on other aspects of Ishvara, which is the Murti Rupa, which is in the idol worship and other forms of meditative things. Here in this Saguna Brahma Upasana, what happens is that the attribute of Brahman in the particular fashion in which the Upanishads are developing that thought process to graduate from one after the other to come to a stage where you will come to a stage where you can drop off even all the attributes. Because it is just like by taking on the police uniform, a person is ensuring that the law and order is maintained, which means other things are not going to disturb. But when it is that only one which is there, that uniform which give the protection, means all other things are warded off. Then it becomes easy to deal with only one subject of what is called the Brahman with attributes. Same is the way. So in the case of Chandogyopanishad, we should understand that the first chapters of this are dealing with what you call, as I said, the the Saguna Rupas, starting with the each aspects of the Panchabhutas. We will see that when I'll give a justification to that. The base thing is that to understand that is to understand it from the point of view where the aspect which is being discussed as each of the upasana kandas. There are the first chapter of the Chandogya is dealing with rain upasana. The second one is dealing with the cloud. The third one is about thunder. The first there is then the lightning. There is river. There is space, and various aspects of the nature is taken for upasana. Then we have the Vishwarupa upasana, Tripadasya Devi. Gayatri upasana is there, Vaishwanara upasana is there, Vedic mantras, that Sama mantras are based on that. So we will find that the different upasanas in the Chandogya itself are helping us, because depending upon the type of the mind the listener has got, each one will be able to identify with one aspect of the nature, because ultimately everything is the same Brahman only. For example, when we are talking about the example, some people will be happy with the mud and the mud pot example, some will be happy with the gold and the ornaments example, some will be happy with the water and the ocean example. So each one of us have got different capacity of our mind. So the Saguna Upasana being taught in this Chandogya, whether it is rain, cloud, thunder, lightning, river, space, and then the aspects of Vishwarupa, Vaishwanara, then what is called Gehara Vidya, then there are different Vidyas, including Gayatri Mantra. So the meditation on Gayatri Mantra is also a part of in the Samaveda, which is in the Chandogya Upanishad. Then when we look at it, then we have this what you call Dehara Vidya. Dehara Vidya is another upasana which is being given by the Chandogya Upanishad for what is it? I am not going to take all these upasanas, Marga, because basically these are all make sense for people who have studied the Vedic karmas in the beginning. After the karma kanda, the upasana kanda comes. The upasana kanda is required for focusing and making the mind focused into one aspect of the Brahman, and thereby when the Nirguna aspect is being taught in the 6th, 7th and 8th chapters, it will become easier for the Nirguna Brahman to be understood and grasped much easier. For that only these upasanas are being used, but that upasanas are mandatory for understanding this aspect of Nirguna Brahman. But here now, if you look at the attachment which I have provided here, you will find that one aspect of that upasana, I felt that it is better that I handle it before I deal with the 6th chapter itself, because they are interconnected. The upasana before that was about Gayatri Mantra. Varvam Bhur Bhuvaswa Tajjalaniti. The Tripadasya Devi. That the Brahman has been explained there as Tripadam, or with the three-feeted Bhur Bhuvaswa in that aspect. And all put together is the Vishwa Rupam of the Saguna Brahman. And then the question from the student will come as to how should I meditate upon that Brahman, is the question when it is being asked, is where the 6th chapter is starting. So if we look at it that way, before going to the 6th chapter, we should study this particular upasana. I may not get into the details of it, but on a cursory manner, I will deal with the upasana, because the meditation aspect or the conviction or the getting into the detail of it will have to be done by the individuals. So this is how my methodology of going into the Upanishad will be based on that. Before I get into the details of the Upanishad and start the Upanishad per se, just a summary of what the Chandogya Upanishad and other Upanishads are standing for. The Chandogya Upanishad is the biggest Upanishad because it has got 627 mantras. Even though Brihadaranya is also big, Brihadaranya has only 434 mantras compared to 627 of Chandogya. But the 627 are small mantras, whereas the 434 mantras of Brihadaranya are large. Therefore, the Shankara Bhashya or the commentary by Shankara of Brihadaranya is far big and also superior both qualitatively and quantitatively compared to Chandogya, because Chandogya he had only to deal with that, even though he has commented upon the Upasana side as well as on the Nirguna side of the 6, 7 and 8. But knowing the mind of Shankara, he has not done what justice he would have done for Brihadaranya, because that is talking about purely about the ultimate Brahman, Atman, Tattvamali. Whereas here the Upasanas, he has accepted Upasanas as a prerequisite for studying the 6th, 7th and 8th, where his Bhashya or his commentary is much more elaborate and complete in its nature. So the Brihadaranya Upanishad of Shankaracharya stands par excellence compared to any other commentary which he has written, even superior than the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. Because Brahma Sutra is basically explaining the opponents and the answers to the questions. He is not getting into the details in which he has got into Brihadaranya Upanishad explanation. So the Brihadaranya Upanishad will be the last to touch with, because after touching Brihadaranya Upanishad, if somebody has not understood what is Advaita all about, then better thing is that you start your own activity which is comfortable for you. So I will not going to be touching the Brihadaranya Upanishad till I complete, when I feel that we are all ready to embark upon the Brihadaranya. So with that, I am going to start this Upanishad of which is the Chandogya Upanishad, the 3rd chapter, 14th pada, which is dealing with the Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma. Before that, let me do the Shanti Mantra. Like the Kena Upanishad, here also the Shanti Mantra is the same. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakprana Chakshus Srotramato Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakaro Anajakaranamastu Nirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirate Ya Upanishadsu Dharmaha Te Mayi Santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The meaning of the Shanti Mantra is that may my limbs, speech, vital air, ears, eyes, strengthen all the sense be fully developed, so that all that is revealed by the Upanishad is Brahman, is and understood by me properly. May I never deny the Brahman which is being taught by the Upanishad, nor may Brahman never disown me, because I am an inept or undeserving candidate. So let mercy be upon me from Brahman, so that I am taught the Upanishad Brahman by the Upanishad. Let there be no repudiation from Brahman. Let there be no infidelity from my side. Let there be not, clash of from both what is being taught and what is being learned. May all the dharmas extolled by the Upanishads shine in me. Let the dharmas which are required for the studying of the Upanishad, let them all shine in me so that I am able to study the Upanishad well. Who I intend to know the self, may thy shine in me. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika, and the Adhyatma. All the three type of impediments which can stand in between me and my studies, let them all be satisfied, is the way in which the Shanti mantra is talking about. Before doing the third chapter 14th section, there is a footnote by Anandagiri, who has commented on all the Upanishads Bhashya. He has written a commentary on Shankara's Bhashya. Anandagiri is a commentator who has written Bhashya on Bhashya. He has written a Tika, Anandagiri Tika. When that commentary on Bhashya is called a Tika. So he remarks that from the Upanishad has dealt with the meditation of Brahman through its images and representatives. That is why Saguna. Images and representatives. Wherever images are there, that is all that in each one of the sections. Each chapter has got different sections, so different subjects are being taught by the Saguna Brahman. Now it proceeds to deal with the meditation of Brahman itself. It is not proceeding to define or explain what Brahman is. It is proceeding to do the Brahma Upasana, the meditation on Brahman, as equipped with qualities and powers. Now, this Brahman, which is a Saguna Brahman, is being given a methodology by the Chandogyopanishad as to how to meditate on Brahman. We saw that, Omkara Upasana in the Mandukya Karika. Here, this one is on the Brahman itself, how it is to be meditated upon. The three-footed immortal Brahman described above is equipped with endless qualities and endless powers and is capable of being meditated upon in various ways, and of this Brahman, the text now proceeds to lay down the meditation as equipped with certain special qualities and special power. So, three-footed immortal Brahman is what is the Gayatri Mantra meditation has been talking about. Tripadasya Amrutam Divi. So, that is the which is referred here as three-footed immortal Brahman. Now, having given that aspect, there is a question from the student as to how will I meditate on the Brahman. You have now mentioned so many ways in which I can meditate, but Brahman, how do I meditate? So for that, the mantra starts with Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma Tajjalaniti Shanta Upasita Athakalu Rutu Maya Purusho Yata Rutuhu Asmin Loke Purushaha Bhavati Tadetha Pretya Bhavati Sa Krutum Kurvita. Now the meaning is that English is written there, all is indeed Brahman. As it originates, become absorbed and lives in it. Tajjalaniti is the word. One should meditate upon it calmly. Now, really, the man consists of volition. Volition here is standing for determination or right understanding, or we can say conviction also here. According to his conviction is his world. So, does he become departing from here, means after having lived this life, when he departs from this world, hence he should exercise his determination or conviction for what is coming in the next mantras. So if you look at it here, what you will find is that we have to say that Tajjalan is the mantra. So Shankaracharya explains that Tajjalan is Tajja, Talla, Tanna in the three forms. Ja, La, An. These are the three words, tad ja, tad la, tad na, ana. Now these three words are indicating the Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. Ja means Janana, La means Laya, Ana means Prana Jivane. In these three is the word way in which the Tajjalan, that one word, is standing for creation, maintenance and dissolution. That is the nature in which Brahma is exhibiting himself as everything in this world. Idam khalu Brahma iti. Now, what is Brahma is not definitely directly not answered here. But the qualification with which Brahma can be meditated upon is that it is basically taken from the Taittiriya Upanishad says that Yatova imani bhutani jayante yeta jadani jivanti yat pravisya vitam vishanti tadeva brahmatvam vidhi. So there in that Upanishad it is said that Yata imani bhutani jayante. Imani bhutani, these created thing means everything in the creation. Jayante, it means having, is created from. Tena jatani jivanti. And not only it is created, it is sustained even by that, in that, by that, for that. So in all forms it is that only. It is created from that, it is surviving in that, and pravishyanti, even when they dissolve, it goes back into it. Now imagine the waves are created out of the ocean. Without the ocean, the waves cannot sustain. The ocean supports the waves. So the waves, even when it is being perceived or experienced as a wave, it has its support on the ocean. And when the waves collapse, where does it go? It goes back into where it came from. Same way, Tajjalan, what does it say? Idam Sarvam Khalu Brahma iti. All this which you perceive in this world today, the world outside, what is created, the creation happens from Brahma. While being experienced and interacted as a duality in this world, this, what you see in the multitude or in the multiplicity, that is also Brahma. And when anything is disappearing from the world, don't think it has been lost forever or it has been destroyed. There is no destruction. It goes back to the source from where it came, like the waves going back to the ocean. Even this world which we are seeing, the cosmos, the planet, the earth, the human being, the planet, everything is from that. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma Tajjalan. Therefore, that Brahma is the support from which everything becomes born, everything sustains, and everything into which it goes back. Shanta Upasita. With a peaceful mind, you should Upasita means you should do the Upasana or the meditation with a peaceful mind, without any raga, dvesha, etc. All sorts of perturbances which can come in the mind, all doubts which can come in the mind should be set aside. Undoubtedly, you should have a peaceful mind, and then you should meditate upon Brahma as from which everything comes, which includes you and the world, into which you are, when you are sustaining in the world, the heat, the air, the water, the earth, the animal, the plants, the sky, everything is basically from that only. For your existence, you need them, everyone. So you are being nourished by that, you exist in that. And when you are going when you are dissolving, when you are leaving your identity, where does it go? Your physical body, which is made out of the earthly nutritions and the minerals, will go back to the earth. The breathing air will go back to the air. The heat will go back to the source of the heat. The water will go back to the source of the water. And the life which was pulsating you is everywhere. Sarvam, it is there everywhere. So there is no need for it to go anywhere because it is not located or localized at any point of time. What happened is that, like a pot, when it came out, there was space inside the pot. The space doesn't come or go anywhere. The pot, when it came, the space was created as a pot space or a house space or a hospital space. When that the conditions which with the space was created, when that goes, where does that space go? It has never come, therefore it doesn't have to go anywhere. Same way, the Brahma, it is in which, from which everything comes up, in which everything remains, into which everything goes back. So there is no coming or going. It is always in that which everything is happening. This you have to meditate upon with a peaceful mind. Saha kratum kurvita. Saha means he. Kratam means conviction or determination, volition. Is the way which kurvita means he should determine or he should get convinced during his meditation. This is the truth. This is the ultimate truth. Athakalu means because Purushaha Kritumayaha. The individual is a result of a conviction. The beautiful aspect of it, please understand that. The Purusha is a Kritumaya, means you are basic of certain convictions with which you are calling yourself as an individual. Either you are convinced that you are the physical body or your psychological body or your relationship with the world. That conviction, Kritumayaha eva Purusha, is the reason why you feel that you have an individuality. We all feel that conviction of existence, separation from the world, because we are convinced that we are a separate entity. That is why when the mantra says Purushaha Kratamayaha, means it is the nature of volition with which the individuality is being experienced. Purushaha asmin loke, in this world world is seen as separate is also due to your conviction. Not only we are convinced that we are a separate entity, we are also convinced that the world outside is also separate from us, is a conviction. Yata kratu ita pretya tada bhavati. Whatever is your conviction, that conviction, ita pretya tada bhavati. Even when you are abandoning the physical body, we are not leaving the conviction that we are separate from the world. Therefore, the feeling that we have a rebirth, I am born, I am dead, all these are all basically out of the conviction which we are maintaining it. So here is the upasana which is the Upanishad is talking about. Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma. Know that everything is here is Brahman. Make that your conviction, not what you think as your conviction as a separate individual entity and as a separate world is separate from you. Because when you have that conviction, when you leave the body, you are carrying that conviction or that conviction is remaining with you because you are not replaced with the truth. Therefore, the untruth holds you but the untrue belief that you are going to be born again as a individual separate from the world again into this world. This is the first mantra of the third chapter, 14th pada. There are some more mantras which I will be taking as a continuation in the Friday class before we start with the sixth chapter, because this word Tajjalan Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma is the basis with which that whole thing develops into the sixth chapter, where the Tattvamasi is being explained in the 9 ways to the son by the father. So before we enter the sixth chapter, this meditation is very important. And this word, Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma Tajjalan, this word should remain and ring in your mind whenever we are discussing anything in the sixth chapter. So the remaining mantras which are coming in the sequence which I have written down here, we will take it on the Friday's class. I'll stop it here for question answer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.